December of 2016. I am a retired corporate fraud investigator with AT&T. I started attending meetings with the county in 2020 when they were trying to raise the millage rate at that time to 18 mil. Once I got in, I started learning more about the county issues, and then procedures or policies or guidelines that they're supposed to follow. And I started seeing inconsistencies. So that's how Voices for Rockdale began. The Voices for Rockdale is a community organization with no political affiliation. The group was formed to keep all citizens informed about things that affect us in Rockdale County, to unite the community, to work together as one for the betterment of the county and hold elected officials accountable, to have a say in how our tax dollars are spent and demand transparency. Change takes place when we get involved. So, with that said, even though I started the group, it's not my group, it's the citizens group, it's our group. We all have gifts and talents, so there's different areas that I believe everybody could work in order to play a part in the bank's useful. But now I would like to introduce my what do you call them, co-conspirators? First I want to introduce Charlotte Gillard. She's one of the administrators for Voices for Rockdale. Charlotte is a historian and has a lot of institutional knowledge about Rockdale County since she's lived here since 1971. Charlotte organizes our records, our open records requests. She reviews documents, directs us to whatever area needed to obtain information. Charlotte proofreads for us before we send emails or posts. I know you all have seen my misspelling sometimes. Charlotte will get me and I go back and edit it. That's okay. She's a former volunteer appointed at the Congress Rockdale Library Board Chairman and was on the Rockdale 2010 and 2020 committee. Okay, and then I want to introduce my friend, Earlene Corbett. She started with me in 2020. I'll get into how we met later, but with going to the meetings and her eyes being opening as well. Doreen is a retired law enforcement officer, president of the Mount Rockdale Hospital Volunteer Auxiliary. Thank you, Doreen. She's been a Rockdale co-worker for many years, and she's a faithful volunteer at Springfield Baptist Church for their food distribution. And Doreen, she extends herself anywhere service is needed. She has a passion for touching others and lending her helping hand to those in need. That's how I met Earlene as a volunteer at the Piedmont Rockdale Hospital. And then the pandemic, and we started walking, we started something to do, and we just became friends. She's a wonderful person.
He's on the first page, I know.
Oh, there he is. No, I want you to do the ladies first. Oh, okay, first page, thanks, Charlotte. Okay, now I would like to introduce Bill Campbell, one of the administrators of Voices for Rockdale. Bill is my mentor and friend. Bill has been in Rockdale 41 years. He's a Marine and member of the DFW and American Legion Kindness. He is also a longtime member of the Rockdale County SPLOST Oversight Committee and wears many hats, too numerous to mention. And I always tell Bill I'm older than him, so he respects Bill in the Marine, so I can't write that. So anyway, I appreciate you coming. I want to thank the Honey Creek Clubhouse for allowing us to have this meeting here. We had a town hall. Larry had put on the town hall earlier, I guess, this year. So they have been really Rockdale friendly to us. So I just want to give them a special shout out. I also want to introduce our speakers for tonight.
Do you have any special guests?
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Charlotte. Are there any special guests here that want to be recognized? It's invitation. Okay, but we do have two. We have Connie Alsobrook. She's on this Conyers City Council. It's Alsobrook, what you saying out there, so everybody knows. Okay, and then we have Sandra Jackson-Lett. She's the elected official on the Board of Education, on the board. That is the one person that voted against the increase. So. Our speakers for tonight, our first speaker is going to be Larry Cox. He's the co-founder of the Rockdale Voter. Larry's the one that created these petitions that you all probably seen on Voices for Rockdale being shared. One was for the single exemption to get it increased. They did increase it. He was successful with the petition. They did increase it from 35,000 to 50,000. Which will take effect in 2023, provided we vote. It'll be on the November ballot. He also created another petition called the HB 1102. And he had to put that on pause. This is about the whole spectrum. We'll tell you more. But I'm just saying all these things that Larry has created, even the one to ask Sherri to resign. This is where it's coming from, the Rockdale Voter Group. The Rockdale Voter. And he also has a show on Sundays at 8 p.m. And it's called This Week from Rockdale. You can view it on Facebook or YouTube. And I watch it on YouTube, so you can go back and look at previous shows he's had. It's very informative. And this is another avenue of how I learn about things in the county. Once I see it, I get to get on it. Because I just feel like you got to tell me something, and I'm supposed to believe it because I'm a fraud investigator. I'm going to investigate it. So that's where I think all of us need to know for ourselves. So that's the purpose of this meeting in the group. Our second speaker is George Kellercheck. He's the founder of Haynes Watershed Foundation Incorporated. He's the founder of the Eye of the Taxpayer, supervising the board member of Rockdale Soil Water Conservation District in certifications in soil water items. He has been a Honey Creek resident since 1990. So with that said, I want Larry Cox, your show. Thank you all.
Thank you, Cora. Thanks, everybody. Now, as she did mention, I am the co-founder of the Rockdale Voter. I would actually, since he's here, would like to introduce the other co-founder, and that's Mr. Ken Holmes. When Voices for Rockdale and Ms. Turner asked me to speak tonight, they wanted me to put an emphasis on forensic audit for Rockdale County. And that's also another petition that is on the Rockdale Voter. Now, the Rockdale Voter is working in conjunction with former Chairman Richard Odom with this petition requesting a forensic audit for Rockdale County. So I spoke with the chairman. He told me he really felt that this needed to occur, that when this audit does occur, that with his expertise, knowing things about the county, how the money is supposed to flow. I've had a lot of meetings the last couple of days and a lot of talking. So he felt that he would be able to help this forensic audit team and guide them in the direction they needed to go to look for abnormalities. So I agreed with that, and the Rockdale Voter agreed immediately, Kim and I did, to help former Chairman Odom with that effort. So if you have not filled out a petition and asked the county commission to perform an audit, if you would go to the rockdalevoter.com and you go to the link and you'll hit that link for petitions for the forensic audit, and you will be able to do an email, put your information in there, and that email is automatically sent to the Board of Commission, and I think the county attorney, a couple other officials can. They get them, so they send those, we send those through that email to those individuals, and then we've also have it directed directly to former Chairman Odom, so he's able to collect those and get those petitions. So he has a goal in mind that he wants, and we're going to help him do that. So a lot of you might say, is it necessary that we have a forensic audit in Rockdale County?
Yes.
And you're right, that answer is yes. And I can list one thing, and you really don't have to go beyond that. And that one thing is in 2020, the Chief Financial Officer of Rockdale County was terminated for misspending or not handling county finances properly, specifically the CARES Act funds. So in corporate America, and a lot of us have worked in corporate America, if our Chief Financial Officer is terminated for any kind of questionable accounting or money issues, there is an automatic audit that is set in place. The shareholders and the board of directors would not stand for it not to occur, because they would want to know is this an isolated incident, or do we have other things to be concerned about? Not only that, but I've talked to people in Rockdale County, and especially Mr. Campbell, who serves on the Rockdale County Sewer and Water Authority, and that's a question because state law says it has to exist, but our commission says it doesn't exist, so who knows? And that has been clarified by the state legislature, that the Board of Commission does not have the authority to dismantle the Rockdale County Water and Sewer Authority. The only authority they have is to appoint the members, and they're refusing to appoint the members. Well, the authority and the funds that are associated with it, RWR, that's supposed to be an enterprise fund. Those funds are supposed to be set aside from any funds that the county do and not intermingled. The county have been asked about this several times, and they don't give you an answer. They say these monies are separated by a ledger. These monies should not just be separated by ledger. They should be in a different account. Also, these SPLOST funds, they have been asked about the SPLOST funds several times. There are entities in other counties who have their SPLOST funds in interest-bearing accounts. Because if I'm not correct, and Mr. Campbell can correct me, we still have funds that are supposed to be available from SPLOST that are two SPLOST back, like the early 2000s, correct? 2006, 8 or something?
Mid-2000s.
Mid-2000s. We still have SPLOST funds that have supposedly are not spent from those eras. So wouldn't you like to know if those funds are really set aside, or are they just put in this big checking account that they just write checks and they have a ledger, and the ledger says they have money in it. But you know, it's like in the stock market, they call and they say, okay, you bought these stocks, now you got to call and you got to fork the money over. I would wager to bet at any given day, if we would ask them to actually come up with the cash for each one of these accounts that they say are in these ledgers, they would not be able to do that. So for these reasons, we feel that there needs to be a forensic audit in Rockdale County to determine where the money's at, if it's actually been separated like it's supposed to be, or if it's just on paper. My bet is it's just on paper. So that's why we really need this forensic audit. Then we look at other things. We look at the host. We all, I'm assuming, know what the host is. In around 2000, we passed legislation, citizens voted on it, to tax themselves 1 cent, to offer property tax relief as far as the host. Well, the county at this point is taking 70% of it and applying it to property tax relief. And they are taking 30% and using it on infrastructure projects. Well, there's a problem with this because they don't actually tell us how much money is in this host or how much money the 70% or the 30% is. But we do have a good idea. We have an idea because the SPLOST collects itself penny for penny with the host. Every cent that's collected for the SPLOST is collected for the host. So we actually know how much money the host should collect, and we know there are overages. So the county never talks about what they do with the overages and how they are distributed. So, and those have become tens and millions of dollars, these overages during the life of a host. So that should be monies that are going to supplement additional tax relief. But again, I don't think they are. And this is something that a forensic audit could determine hands down. Then we look at what's going on this year with the county proposing unprecedented tax increases of 45%. The Board of Education, they came after us again and they got their tax increase. And again, Sandra, thank you for that. And then you've got the city themselves who also have come after. Now, when you look at this individually, you know, the BOE and the city, you say, well, theirs are, you know, within reason. But when we look at it combined, a city resident, when you get with all three increases, you're in the neighborhood of a 65% tax increase. A county resident is 57 point something. You're near in the 58% tax increase area. This is out of control, and in my opinion, you are on the verge of taxing lower income people out of home ownership. You are on the verge of taxing senior citizens out of home ownership, and not only out of home ownership, but the ability for independent living. So that's why the Rockdale voter, I'm going to mention this one more thing, and then I'll sit down, let George, and then if there'll be any questions. The Rockdale voter is again going to approach the Georgia legislature. Corliss mentioned House Bill 1102. Well, House Bill 1102 is no longer House Bill 1102. House Bill 1102 was passed by the Georgia legislature and signed into law by the governor of Georgia. It was named the Homestead Revised Tax Act of 2020. That act is state law. So at any given time, we're allowed to file a petition with the Board of Elections here in Rockdale County, get the number of signatures required, put it on the ballot, and at that point, when passed, 100% of the tax dollars that are collected will go to tax reduction for the citizens. Now, 2020, we all might think about what happened in 2020 that might have prevented us from going around door to door with clipboards asking for signatures. Now, you guys know if our group, the Rockdale voter, and other groups who had volunteered to do that at that time, if we would have been around Rockdale County with clipboards, there'd have been a lot of y'all even mad at us for doing that. And we just felt it was not the right time to do that. This was not a bill any longer. This was state law. It is not sunsetted. We are allowed to introduce that petition at any time to get those signatures. We are going to introduce that again this October once we get the number of individuals that have registered for the fall election, and we will then be able to do 10% of that and know the exact number of voters that we will have to get. I think it will be between 6,500 and 7,500 signatures. That's what I roughly think it will be right now. But we will see for sure when it comes October, when they stop collecting the signatures for registered voters. But that's one thing we're going to do. We're going, since we've already got that law passed. And you know what? Not a lot of groups can say that they actually had legislation introduced and passed. The Rockdale voter has. We have a proven track record of knowing how to navigate the legislative system. And just to be honest, I do have friends in the legislature that are in pretty high places. So I am able to actually approach people and make sure that these bills do get on the floor and they do have an opportunity to be voted on. Just for example, House Bill 1102 passed by one vote in the House and one vote in the Senate. But we got it done. This year, I will be asking the legislature to introduce the Rockdale County Homestead Exemption Act. That act will consist of legislation that will, at age 65, we will start taking percents off of senior citizens' tax obligation through property tax. not only property tax to the BOE, property tax to the BOC and to the city of Congress. We will reduce this from 65 until 70. At age 70, senior citizens in Rockdale County would owe no property tax to any of these three entities. Well, someone might say, well, isn't this gonna break the county, whatever. We looked up some numbers. The county, some people over 65 years old, 15-point-something% of the population of Rockdale County. Also, the average life expectancy of a person in Georgia is 77.4 years. That property would only go off the digest at age 70. So on average, a property would stay off the digest for 7 years until a person passed away. Then that property, once that individual passed, would go back on the tax digest and be taxed again. So, so these entities wouldn't be losing this money forever. But senior citizens who at that time are vulnerable and could lose their homes in independent living would be protected from that by getting that tax exemption. And that's the goal of the Rockdale voter, is to protect our senior citizens and make sure that they get to keep their homes. Because at some point in your life, don't you think you should actually own the property and home that you live in and own? At some point in your life, you should. And that's what I believe, and I've spoken to several legislators, and this is what they've told me. This piece of legislation only needs to start in one county, pass in one county, and it will spread through the state of Georgia. Rockdale County, we can be first, we can be pioneers. We can work together and we can make this happen. But it can't be done without your help. And that's what I'm asking for this time. Your help when this petition hits the internet this week, and it will at some point hit the internet this week. I will be meeting with legislators the second week of August to discuss this legislation and how to draft it. So I ask for your help when this petition hits the internet. With the voters of Rockdale will pass it out. Other organizations pass it out. Make sure you fill that petition out because it is going to go to your state legislators. And together we can start something that will help every senior citizen in the state of Georgia. Thank you, and I'm going to sit down and let George know.
Ken's our IT manager with Rockdale Voter Group. Ken, would you let everybody know where they need to go to? What is the website?
The website is therockdalevoter.com. And there's a link on there for petitions. You can drop it down and fill it out. On the homestead exemption that Larry is talking about, I will have on there a PDF document that you can download, that you can take around to your neighbors and get them to sign it. Once they've done and signed it, or some of them may not have internet connection or whatever, once they've done and signed it, you can take a picture of it with your phone and email it to the editor at therockdalevoter.com. That's editor at therockdalevoter.com. And that will be part of your effort to get your neighbors also to get on board with this.
And that is the editor.
No, it'll be editor.
Editor.
Just editor.
Editor at therockdalevoter.com.
And that petition, just to clarify, is not up yet, but it will be up. We're trying to get it up, what, tomorrow or Saturday?
It'll be up by Saturday morning.
Yeah, because I still have to write something and give it to you.
Yeah, Saturday morning.
Just shoot voices, email, text, and we'll let them know.
We'll make sure you got it. We'll let y'all guys know when it's up.
Okay, thank you.
And just for all of those that couldn't make it here tonight, Mr. Chris Lowry, could you introduce yourself possibly for us?
Good evening, I'm Christopher Lowry, East Atlanta Video and the Brushfire Mind. I make video and film. I've been doing quite a bit of work with George on the silt problem in our reservoir, our water. And yeah, I do video production. Feel free to give me a call, hit me up after this for a card. And I do a daily talk show at 0730 every morning. Come have a cup of coffee with us on YouTube, Facebook, etc. at the Brushfire Mind.
Thank you. Chris lives in Hunter Creek, and You know, he texted me a little while ago, he said, what time's the meeting? And he put 1900, you know, that military stuff. So if he's retired military, I'm like, 7 p.m., thank you. So thank you, Chris, for helping out with it. So this meeting will be televised by, what, tomorrow morning on social media, or
Okay.
maybe over the weekend sometime, so it will be there also for you to view.
It will also be on the Rockdale.
And it will be on Rockdale Vote
Ian Voices for Rockdale.
and Voices for Rockdale. Just to let y'all know, y'all are probably wondering who am I, and so I'm George Kellichek, and I came here in 1890 to Honey Creek, and so I've been here just a few years, and my wife was here, but she escaped me probably because she's thinking, oh my God, what's he gonna say? But we've been actively involved, retired from American Honda Motor Company, run a bunch of facts and figures, degree in management psychology and economics, so it's kind of stuck with me. Mr. John Bowers is here with us this evening. I just want to recognize him. He's with the Department of Natural Resources with the state of Georgia.
I'm here as a citizen.
But he's here as a citizen. He's that clear. He's always helping us out, look at information. I am going to talk to you about water tonight. I'm also a board member with the Rockdale Soil Water Conservation District. There's 40 districts in the state of Georgia, and we are captained or directed by the Georgia Soil and Water Conservation Commission, which is headquartered in Athens, Georgia. So we do a lot of work throughout the county here, looking at environmentally safe ways of protecting our soils and our waters, and we meet the last Friday of each month at the 4-H UGA Extension Office there on West Avenue. But just to let you know, Larry ran some numbers the other day, and I wanted to follow up on this. Just to let you know about taxes. Okay, the county's looking at a 45.6% increase. The Board of Education approved the other night 11.9. So that means citizens here are going to be paying, if that passes, we would like you guys to come to the meetings next week. We'll get you that information before you leave here when you can speak. That's the highest in history of any county in the state of Georgia. All right, this is paramount. 45.6%. Well, when you run that with the Board of Education numbers on top of it, for a $150,000 house in Rockdale County, that means you would pay an additional $850 a month in your taxes. Now, most of you all probably maybe above $100,000. A year. $850 a year. Wait, listen. But let's look at this. Also, $104 for your stormwater. Right? It's going to go up every year through 2026. You're exactly right. Thank you. Then, right now, we're paying monthly an additional $493 a month for goods and services. When we go to Walmart and we go get gas, when you look at all of these numbers put together, you're going to have an additional $6,096 to pay for your taxes in 2023. Anybody got an extra $6,000 in their checkbook? Okay. Right now, the county is using about 8.1 billion gallons of water a day, but 36% of that is unaccounted for. The national average is 16%. We know everybody's got some leaky pipes. If we reduced it down to 16%, instead of, and use this money, our monies for infrastructure, instead of 2 new parks, Bill, we're putting another park in Parker Road. They're going to put a golf disc course at Parker Road. The most valuable piece of real estate in Rockdale County. And we put another dog park in North Rockdale County. All right? So, if we brought down, if we could get our water down to 16%, unbillable. In 30 years, that'd be $211 million in savings. But yet we build parks. Chemical costs. I got an open records request back. Yeah, we spend right now .0000866 per gallon to treat our water. But when you run those numbers, that's $139 a day we're throwing away, $50,000 per year, or $1.5 million in 30 years. So you'll see through these presentations, if we could get our infrastructure fixed, they wouldn't have to be looking at these tax increases. Yet minimum water rates have increased from $3.25 in 2013 to $4.35 in 2020 per gallon. That's a 75% increase. Sewer rates from $4.72 in 2013 to $8.35. That's a 56% increase. So when you start to look at all these other numbers, there's a lot more money that we're paying out instead of getting the infrastructure fixed. Bill from RWR, go ahead.
At the last board meeting, they announced that they were hiring Tillis, which is a consulting company, to do another rate study to increase your rate starting next year again with water services.
So, like I said, we're giving you a lot of valuable information tonight. Okay, I'm the taxpayer. How did that start? In 2018, the former stormwater director came to my property here in Honey Creek along with the chairman, looked at our stormwater problem, and he told me to get an estimate on my pool, 3 estimates on my pool, and don't go to the media, and do not get an attorney. Here it is 4 years later. My next door neighbor, on the last big rain we had, it blew out his driveway. They came in and fixed it. Now I'm waiting for them to come down and fix mine. We'll see. So that's why I got involved, is when somebody tells me no, it kind of turns me the other way. All right, so when we look at our watershed, where we get our water from, the reservoir, in 1995, it was agreed to that Rockdale County needed a watershed and a reservoir. In 1992, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers provided permit number 404 to Rockdale County, along with Gwinnett County, Newton County, and Walton County, to establish a watershed for the Portner Reservoir for potable drinking water in Rockdale County. That was at the cost of $71.5 million. There were also some other legislative items that are not being agreed to. I've got some narratives here. I've only got 10 minutes to speak, so I'm going to keep up the tempo. We went to the county government, our elected officials, and the city, and we said we had a problem a year ago. We've had problems since 2001, which we found through open records request on a memorandum that was sent from the water director to the chairman of the board at that time, saying things are not being adhered to in our watershed. All right. First picture. This is Georgia 20, headed north from Rockdale County to Walton County. This is Big Haynes Creek. This is the main source that all the creeks flow in from, the northern neck of the watershed, which is basically Gwinnett County. Haynes Creek used to be 100 yards wide and 10 feet deep. You could jump off this 10-foot dam, high dam, into 10 feet of water. Look what you have now. You've got 121 acres of silt behind there, and when this 100-year-old dam goes, we'll displace another 1 million gallons of water instantly. But we don't have a problem. That's why Mr. Lowry and I went out and started investigating all this information over a year ago. All this is going to be provided again to your city council and your the Rockdale County elected officials to let them see what's going on. At Big Haynes Creek, it separates into 2 tributaries, one a main one, this is secondary, at the Harrison Mill Bridge Dam. And if you guys want to take a tour, it takes about an hour, I'll take you out there and show you all this. The water level got so low, the beavers built a dam. Stop the water flow. This used to be 6 feet deep. If you go back over to here, that was 100 yards wide at one time. Now it's 30 yards wide. That's it. And this is the only water flow coming into your reservoir, folks. But we don't have a problem. How many people watch Aaron Brockovich movies? Sometimes pushing it uphill. So, yeah, there's your 100-yard wide, 10 feet high water dam. This is behind the water dam. It used to have 6 feet of water in it coming into the reservoir. Look at it now. These pictures were taken in July this year. This is your northern neck of your reservoir going underneath Harrison Mill Bridge. This used to be a very nice water flow. Now it's full of silt and oils that are coming from the unprotected watershed from Rockdale, Newton, Walton, and Gwinnett counties. In 1995, there was an agreement between all the counties to protect the watershed. I was told, don't worry about it, we got it all under control. Costly Mill Park cost a little over $4 million to acquire. Okay? This is Sandy Creek in the northern part of your watershed that used to feed Costly Mill. So we know this used to be 50 yards wide with 6 feet of water running through it. But when they closed Sandy Creek Road, nobody paid attention anymore, and now you've got a bunch of vegetation with no water flow. So someday, if we don't get the watershed taken care of, there won't be a water flow for our reservoir, for potable drinking water, nor Costly Mill. So I'll be, again, presenting all this to your city council members and your Rockdale County commissioners, along with the Board of Education over the next couple of weeks. The Haynes Watershed Foundation was founded a little over 3 months ago with several members. We set up the foundation to protect this watershed as we move forward. Because one of the things that Larry mentioned and Bill knows about, RWR authority, which has not met almost now in 2 years, is trying to be disbanded by Commissioner Oz Nesbit. But he doesn't have the authority to do so because it was set up through the state legislature. So he's trying to disband the water authority, which is really the watchdog over the watershed. So that's where we are now. We have been instrumental. The people that can correct this for us is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. As I stated earlier, they provided permit 404 for us to construct the watershed and the reservoir along with maintaining it. Well, we know through these pictures they're not. So I have been in touch with the Director of Environmental Restoration for the Corps of Engineers out of Atlanta. He has got me in touch with a gentleman in Savannah, Georgia, that is head of planning for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for the state of Georgia. They will be coming in with a team of about 6 people in late August or early September to tell us what needs to be done to reclimate and remove all of this silt, because they're going to measure the toxicity of the silt to find out, is it good or is it bad? One way the county could make money, the other way they're going to have to discard it. They're going to be the driving force. They're a federal government agency, okay? So instead of talking with the Haynes Watershed Foundation and dear old George and a few other of us, they're going to have the federal government to talk to. And they're going to come up with, yes, everything's fine. Well, they already know that it isn't because I sent this package to them. So like I say, I'll keep you updated. Late August, early September, they'll be up here. There'll be a news article on it through the Rockdale Citizen, along with the television stations and other folk. And we've got to get it corrected. Otherwise, eventually, we will not have any water. But nobody's worried about the watershed. The only thing that's really going on that the county and city have agreed to is to have what is called a LiDAR study, which is basically shooting beams down into the lake, into the reservoir. That was done in 2012 because we know we had silt in. So finally, once the Rockdale Soil Water Conservation District found out more information about this, they have finally agreed to get the USGS, which is basically a measurement component for the federal government, to measure the levels of silt in the reservoir, okay? But the real problem is in the watershed. So as we move forward, you'll be getting more information, but just wanted to let you know, it would be nice if they were protecting our #1 resource, which is water. Yes, question, go ahead, Ken. John? Ken was first.
I attended the Conyers Rockdale Economic Development Council meeting on Tuesday. That was Chairman Nesbit spoke.
Yes.
And I'd like to tell you, he spoke about a lot of things, but there's two that you mentioned here that I'd like to tell you what he said.
Go ahead. Mr. Harrison, Tom Harrison, has been in touch with me about who he attended. Go ahead, so the whole group can hear this.
Right.
Hey, Ken, do me a favor and stand up and look this way for us.
So on the matter of property taxes, he wanted to assure everybody in at the council meeting that absolutely nothing has been decided yet on taxes. So he's obviously getting some pushback, right? And he said that they're required to do 3 public meetings that's legislated by law. And at those meetings, they are going to listen to you and will make no decisions on property taxes until after those meetings. So you can take that however you want to take it. But we know that with Trashgate and other things that we've been involved in, if we all stand up as a community, we can stop some of this stuff. But you have to go to the meetings, these 3 meetings, you have to make your voice out, and there has to be a lot of us, right? That's how we got Trashgate stopped for those that were there. That's how we got the original courthouse thing stopped, is that they could see that these were very unpopular things that might just put their re-election into jeopardy, and there's nothing that they fear more than that. On the silt thing, he assured everybody that this whole silt thing was sort of nonsense. That there was a little bit of silt. It's quite an expensive thing to get rid of it, but people, we have plenty of water and will have for decades to come, and I'm quoting you, right? I don't think when you listen to George that that's actually really true. There is a problem, but he doesn't want to face up to that problem, and so he's basically taken the water board and turned it into a laptop that has absolutely no power. Am I right about that, Bill? Yes.
Correct.
Part of that was to illegally use water authority money for his own purposes. But you need to go to the meetings on the tax thing. We need to be a lot of us. It needs to be an overflow crowd. He needs to understand that this is not going to go down well, right? On the silt thing, George has got this in hand, I promise you, and it's going to be taken care of. In spite of the chairman saying this is not a problem, it's an expensive problem to fix, but there is a...
I have a question for Ken.
Go ahead.
So you were at where was he speaking?
The Conyers Rockdale Economic Development Council.
So the Economic Development Council. So after he finished, anybody on there asked him to back those statements up, or they just took him in his word?
No, the only, there were a couple of people that there was a lot of talk about housing, and housing development in the county. There were some questions about that. And on the water thing, on the soap, and on the taxes.
So it wasn't challenged. That's nice to know too. Yes, sir.
You know the dates of the 3 weeks?
Yes, sir, I got it right here. You're reading my mind. All right, Tuesday, August 2nd at 10 a.m. at the Assembly Hall. That's on Main Street. It's 901 Main Street, correct? Yes.
Oh, wait, sure, 901.
901 Main Street. It's the big building on the corner. And then again at 6 p.m. on August 2nd. And the final meeting would be August 9th at 10 a.m. So you got 2 meetings on the 2nd, 10 and 6, and then on the 9th, you got a 10 a.m. meeting.
All at the same location?
All the same location.
They're required by state law to have one after 6 p.m. on Monday.
Otherwise, I wouldn't.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
They wouldn't.
That's right.
I had a question on the property taxes.
Okay, sir, go ahead.
I keep going back and forth with the county. I'm trying to find out what exactly is a neighborhood adjustment on our property taxes. Our community got a 32% neighborhood adjustment. And Honey Creek, I'm not sure which one this community is. Is it Honey Creek Commons or Honey Creek or Honey Creek U5? But Honey Creek got a 33% neighborhood adjustment, and Honey Creek U5 got a 52% neighborhood adjustment. And these neighborhood adjustments increases our fair market value over and above what the market says. You know, I've been in my house 20 years, and they gave my property a 32% neighborhood adjustment, which pushed my property value all the way up to the market value, like what's it selling in the market. And so I'm trying to figure out, does anybody know what's neighborhood adjustment and how is it even calculated? Their percentage. A lot of the more affluent neighborhoods don't have neighborhood adjustments. And then when you guys talk about the petition, the best place to start for these petitions is people that have these neighborhood adjustments. There's some communities with neighborhood adjustments, for example, High Rock Strolls have a 51% neighborhood adjustment. Let's see here. Hunters Hollow have a 52% neighborhood adjustment. There's some that have as high as 70%. I don't understand how to get that high adjustment. But I got these records from the county because I asked her for all of this, the properties that have, or the community that have neighborhood adjustments. And it's a ton of them, and those neighborhood adjustments is probably why the revenue stream has increased so much over the last 2 years.
That's correct. Larry, do you want to add anything to that?
But you know, Bill, have you heard of that before? I'll tell you what, we don't know about that, but I'm telling you what, we'll do some ORRs and we'll find out. You not, okay, Charlotte? Yeah, we'll find out. Make sure we get your email address and Corliss, let's get back to him on that. Because we can do some ORRs and find out.
It's you, sir.
Corliss.
I say one more thing on property tax. I discovered the other day, just for your interest, that you get an estimate of your property taxes, which
Can you talk a little bit louder?
Speak up, please, kid.
Okay. You can, when you get your property taxes, the first thing you get is an estimate of the valuation of your property, which you can request a reappraisal. Okay, so you get an appraisal adjustment. If you don't know it, if you request an appraisal adjustment and they come and they reappraise your property, I discovered the other day that appraisal is locked in for 2 years. So they, if you can get the appraisal and they adjusted the value of your property down, it locks in that property for 2 years. They can't come back the following year and raise it again. It's locked in for 2 years.
And they will come out and look at your house.
Yes, they will.
I had them.
Oh, they will come, they have to by law. They've got to come out and look at your house.
You have to request it.
You have to request it.
And you have a time limit for doing that.
Correct. But if you
But
come
it-
out and they do appraise your property and they appraise it at a lower value, that value is locked in for 2 years.
But
Time, please.
Let me just add something to what he said. The deadline for appealing taxes was June the 6th.
Right.
That has passed, but they do come out, and I did it, and they do come out and look at your home, but unfortunately, they just look on the outside.
That's right.
So I was able to send pictures of the inside. I haven't done any upgrades, so that does help. It helped me. I'll put it that way. And that's something that we've been talking about, having a, I don't know what to call it, a one-on-one Rockdale, but we're gonna have periodic meetings. I don't know when it's gonna start, to kind of educate so that you all be well informed of the do's and don'ts and what they can do and what they can't do, how you can appeal something, or how you can, get a situation fixed. Even like if you have a leak at your house and the water bill's high, a lot of people don't know once you get it fixed, you can give it to the water department, they'll give you 50% off. So it's a lot of hits and claims that I think every citizen needs to know. And this gentleman is in a wheelchair. I assume that that's a disability. If you have a disability and you're under 65, you get the same exemption as a disabled person. All you have to do is have a form filled out by your doctor, and you get the same exemption now. But when you get ready to turn 65, which I'm getting ready to turn 65. Oh, I'm going to turn something else, but anyway. You have to, on disability, you have to reapply for the senior, so you'll get that 50,000. I don't know, Larry, if that 50,000 is going to be for disabled,
Yes.
as it is now?
Yes.
It
Yes.
is? Okay.
Yep, and like I said, and that is on the ballot in November, and we have to vote for it to get it.
Right. So please pay attention to your ballot, and it's very important to come to meetings, and please don't let this tax thing be the only thing you're interested in. Rockdale County is broken. I'm just gonna share these, subcommittees, then the floor is open for questions, okay? We have subcommittees over there for you to sign up for. Like I said, everybody's valuable. Everybody has a gift, and can be used in Rockdale County. One of the subcommittees is the BOC Finance Oversight Subcommittee. 3 of us from Voices for Rockdale had a meeting with the new CFO, Mark Lewis, and he did, on a recorded meeting, say that Rockdale County commissioners are spending money as fast as they get and that they are mismanaging money. Open records request, he also told us that CARES money was used for shortfalls in the county. That tells me that they have messed up some money. And I posted that on Nextdoor the other day, where our question was and what his answer was. When the county got wind of this reporting, which was perfectly legal to report because he was acting in his capacity of being a CFO, and it was shared. It was shared. I mean, y'all need to know, right? And so the word got out, and he kind of retracted. We weren't trying to get him in trouble. We would have stood behind him had he got in trouble. But so we need a BOC Finance Oversight Subcommittee. You can sign up over there at the table. Also, we have the Smart Growth. That's the planning and zoning. What the Smart Growth is that they are changing commercial into residential, which is leaving no room for commercial. The Planning Commission wrote them a letter March of 2021 and asked them to stop building residential townhouses, and that we're going to be known as the city of townhouses. So, and that tells me with them doing all these residents, they're looking for whatever tax dollars they need from the residents. Business can bring tax dollars, but you have to clean up Rockdale. So this planning committee would watch the agenda, the meetings, see what they're doing, investigate it as far as the background. They're just trying to do something with this developer now that has horrible reviews. So, and then you would do attend meetings, and then public oversight, and provide information. You can send them a letter or email whoever's on that committee. with your concerns. Any of these, if you need help, you have Charlotte, Bill, myself, Roland, we have a email address, voicesforrockdale@gmail.com. Another one of the committees is the Board of Education, and that is to oversee the budget and safety concerns at the school. Someone put on next door that increasing property taxes give the school more money, and it provides a better education. I know a lot of young people got a lot of money.
But let me
I've
ask
been
you a question
here
about that.
long enough to watch Rockdale County schools become some of the best schools in the state, that I absolutely wouldn't send my worst enemy's child to the school system.
Right.
Yeah.
How do we rank in the state for our schools in Rockdale County?
140 or
157 out of 139. We actually dropped.
Right.
There's 193 school districts.
Okay.
And we,
150.
yeah, but we rank 157 out of the 193 school districts.
So that's what the Board of Education subcommittee will be working on with the Board of Education. The other is Chairman George Kilchek agreed to be the chairman of the Water, Sewer, and Stormwater Subcommittee. So he explained to you what's going on with the water. I know on next door, I seen some say that they smell chlorine, some were in Lyconia, some were in Covington, but some was in Rockdale as well. So he's gonna be the chairman on that. That's another subcommittee that we have. The other is roads and infrastructure, which I think is very important. It's gonna identify weaknesses and issues in the road, to report to the proper department, the state or the county. And then, and the reason I think it's so important, you can't ask companies to come here if the roads aren't up to par. I mean, I know I drive at night sometimes, and some I can't see because the lines are faded, they don't have markers, or I think George had posted something about it, a wall that had been tore up for a long period of time.
Yes, I am.
Okay, and they haven't fixed yet, so that's what the roads and roads and infrastructure committee will be doing. The other one is my favorite, clean communities subcommittee. You'll be engaging in business and property owners to maintain a clean environment. I'm a stickler for that. When I took a picture up there, bro, the coal factory, the trash was hanging out, nobody was changing it. There was a person at the door to welcome you in, but nobody was emptying the trash. So why talk to the manager? The property owner is responsible for the tenant. So with Q Public, find out who the property owner is, send them an email, call them, whatever you have to do. It was rectified within a week. And I've been going by and it hasn't been that way since. And this includes all along the side of the roads, so not cutting grass, cutting to a certain point. We want to clean up Rockdale, and the only way this is going to get done is that we work together, because the taxes is not our only problem. Rockdale is broken and has been broken for a long time. And I do believe in power in numbers. And thank you all again for coming. I don't think
Questions?
Questions?
I don't think I missed anything, but please sign up for the subcommittees, even if you just want to see what it's about and if you can be of service. So now it's time for questions and answers.
I have one statement to make. I put some copies of different things for information over on that table if you want to take a picture of it. It's the BOE's fiscal year 2023 budget to see what broad categories they're going to be spending the money on. If you want an oversight on that, they're supposed to start streaming their meetings in the fall, maybe in September. I think George has been asking for them to do that since 2019. All the other meetings you can watch, they stream them, you can watch them except the Board of Education. The 5-year history of the Board of Commissioners tax levy, to see how much dollars they've gotten in their millage for the last 5 years. They're required to publish that in the newspaper. So there's a picture of that. If you have, it's also on the county website. You can find it there also.
Okay, in the question and answer section, can you please say who you're directing the question to so they can answer it? go legislate with the word or?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
In listening to the information that you presented, the first thing that came to my mind was some laws have been broken.
Yep.
Am I right? Yes.
Regarding,
Everything. Yes.
as far as our watershed?
As far as the water, and then again, I would like to, I'm sort of new to Rockdale.
That's excellent, thank you very much.
I've only been here 13 years.
Oops.
Well, that's new, but anyway, I've gone to the VOC meetings and I listened and I watched how they're conducted, and I've always left out of the meetings feeling that something ain't right. Spirit tells me that some folk are doing some illegal things. And I'd like to know whether or not there's anything in state laws that address it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
This is part of our issue with this law. Yes, they are breaking the law. And Mr. Campbell and myself and other people have been in meetings with the Board of Commission and their attorney present. And they acknowledge that some of the things they are doing may be skirting the law. And you know what has been said? Well, to make us do it the way you say we have to, you have to sue us. Bill. So, but this is a thing. To make a government entity obey the law, you have to sue them. John?
That's right. Government's immune. In fact, a lot of things you can't even sue the government without the government giving you permission to do it in the first place.
Yeah, they actually make
So
laws.
they can, yeah, so you can, you get a lawyer, your lawyer submit the thing, and state attorney general just, no, can't do that, end of story.
Yeah,
You got no other recourse.
actually make laws that you're supposed to live by, and there's no enforcement.
Absolutely.
But, and they've admitted that they're violating the Rockdale Water and Sewer Authority, but they told us, sue us to make us abide. So this, you know, and then when we talk about SPLOST, I just want to talk to you guys. I don't know how many of you guys were tricked into voting for it. And that's what you were, okay? It was introduced illegally because they're supposed to list all the projects. Then the organization that campaigned for it used dark money. They were an illegal committee that did not file the proper paperwork or documentation to run a campaign for a SPLOST. A SPLOST is not supposed to be used to run M&O projects. It's supposed to be a one-time hit for an infrastructure issue. But they themselves said this in their campaign for the SPLOST. If you don't pass the SPLOST, you won't have fire protection. It's illegal to fund the police department through SPLOST. If you don't have the SPLOST, you will lose fire protection. It is against the law to run the fire department through SPLOST. If you don't pass SPLOST, we won't have parks and recreation. It is against the law to run that division with SPLOST.
So Larry, in the Georgia Constitution, what are the top 3 or 4 requirements of the county government to provide?
Services.
Police, fire, all those things that they're gonna tell you don't go away. You can't even make that threat. The Constitution requires the county government provide those things.
It is required.
So even making the statement, I mean, that's inappropriate for an elected
But
official in
the
any
thing
capacity.
about it is, state law, when they passed the SPLOST, it forbids a county official or any employee of the county to actually speak against or for the SPLOST once it has been approved and put on the ballot. They were not supposed to say, well, they violated the law the whole time. Then they lied to the citizens saying they wouldn't have these services, which constitutionally they have to provide. What would have occurred if that SPLOST had been defeated is they would have had to become fiscally responsible. We didn't say take it away, we just said don't pass it this time, let's pass it next year and make them introduce it legal. But you, the citizens, were tricked into passing it.
Okay, let me share this with you as well. What's the Rockdale on the illegal SPLOST signs that said vote yes for SPLOST? Voices for Rockdale spoke with the election supervisor, Ms. Willingham, and she advised us that the signs are supposed to either have the campaign or the candidate on the bottom. And she said they did not register sign, nor did they fill out where the money was coming from. So, being who I am, broad investigator, contact Secretary of State, and we collectively together, Voices submitted pictures, and then I think I sent it out on the next door for people, if you see it, you know, get the street name or cross streets or take a picture. So the investigator gathered all the information. There is a case number now, has moved up and waiting on the Secretary of State to meet on.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
During your investigation, did you not find there was a committee that legally?
Yes, the vote no was SPLOST, but the vote yes was illegal.
The
And
vote no committee filed the proper paperwork,
Right, which
filed
was
the
the
proper
Rockdale
financial disclosure.
Right,
The Rockdale voter followed the law.
right. Okay, another thing is that they have, on several occasions promoted the SPLOST, even during the debate or whatever the forum they had between Doreen Williams and Yvette Walker. It's time stamped exactly what point in the recording, the meeting dates. There were like 3 occasions that has been referred to the transparency and committee campaign finance. That has been referred because that's the SPLOST violations. So I'm saying all that to say, I've said this before, I am the type of person, win, lose, or draw, I'm gonna stand up. And I do exercise my right. There's other agencies that you can report people to that govern them. And that's what we need in Rockdale County, is to get their attention and let them know that we are united together on the 2nd. If these millage rates again, I would suggest every meeting to wear our Voices for Rockdale shirts that shows that we are united as one and the citizens are organized. There is no way that 3 people can decide what 93 or 94,000 people want unless they hear from us, and that's what they need to do. So now questions and answers. I'm sorry I took so much time, but I just want to put that out.
But can we focus on the
Focus on what?
You can do that after the election. And speaking of that, 60,000 registered voters, only 10,000 or 11,000 came out. This was an opportunity for us to get Doreen Williams out of there. And then we have a commissioner who has been disbarred, not only from Georgia, but Texas and Washington. She has done this repeatedly, so how can we trust her with money? But she has to be voted out because I don't know, the Inspector General, we talked with them, and her personal life has nothing to do with her private life. But then again, her personal life has nothing to do with her elected position.
They're public.
Right. But here's my problem. If we get her out of there and she resigned, the young lady with the divorce is garnishing her wages. So if she's not there, there's nothing to garnish. So it's like a catch. So we really have to vote her out in 2024. This is where we also need to get with our neighbors, our friends, and get them out to vote. We have to do that, not just for the general election, but for the local as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
2
I'm
questions.
sorry.
I'm Susan Holking Quarantine Claire. I lived in Rockdale, Commerce area for approximately 12 years. And I am just completely bowled over by all of this.
Yes.
This is an incredible mess. And I think that at the foundation of this mess is the fact that there are 93,000 citizens of Rockdale County, and there are 50 people at this meeting. There is not enough awareness of these issues. There is not enough education to the public of these issues. I'm gonna sound like Larry here for a second, and I'm gonna say, I will guarantee you that if you went to Publix and you asked 100 people if they're aware that their taxes are going up by 58%. 99 would say no.
Yeah.
And there is not power among the citizenry if there is not knowledge of the problems. I don't understand why there haven't been physical protests, permitted protests, with signs. Good heavens, how many people go through Conyers on their way home from work? It could actually be made aware of these problems. Even on a regular basis, those of us who are committed, a permitted, peaceful protest. We've run out of time. And frankly, I've run out of patience with the fact that you all seem to be resigned to this 58%. That it's a done deal, that there's nothing that can be done about it.
No, absolutely not.
I think the feeling in this room is the polar opposite.
Everybody in the room.
That's why they're here.
Okay. We've come to this meeting, there's 50 of us here. What are we going to do? I'm not talking about committees. This vote is going to be August 9th. I'm not talking about committees. I'm not talking about more study. I'm talking about making people aware and getting them to show up August 2nd and August 9th. Mad as hell.
So it sounds like it's a committee for marketing or advertising or campaigning or like what you're, someone together.
Yeah, it's got to be organized.
Yeah, it has to be. Like get somebody, TV people out there and get somebody out there with the signs.
Let me ask a question. How many in here are a member of Voices for Rockdale? Okay, because everything that goes on in the county, are you on next door?
Yes.
Okay, give me your name and I'll invite you. Anybody that's not on Voices for Rockdale, write your name here and I'll send you an invite. Everything that's going on in the county, we post on Voices for Rockdale and we try to share it as well in general. We have over 531 members, and like she said, you see how many are here.
You all are doing a wonderful job. Amongst
But we need citizens' help.
Yes, because I mean, I'm not fed up, you know, in my accent. And yeah, I've been here for 25 years, but I'm from France. And so Georgia is home for 25 years. And I saw Conyers changing and not in the good way. I used to leave my house unlocked, my car unlocked. And now when I go in bed, I get up again and check everything. Because, I mean, from my bed, I can hear the gunshot at night. I do not recognize Conyers. So it's not only taxes, because when you pay taxes and high taxes, you expect to have peace, you expect to have security, and they brought down my car a couple times. And when we called the police, I was abroad, my dad was in the coma, my daughter was home by herself, and they told her breaking a car was not the property. So they didn't even take anything, any report. So they broke in the garden, they broke the shed, and they stole the tools, garden tools and everything. Same, they didn't want to take the report because it was outside of the house. I mean, less report they're taking, better it is for everybody, I guess. So paying taxes, I don't mind paying taxes, but I want everything going with that. And so since we don't have it, yes, it makes me even more mad. And seeing all those developers, all those new construction makes me even more mad, because when I see the price of those property, I know it's going to bring us bad people. I'm sorry, but it's bringing bad people.
The bad people don't wear a sign on.
No, I know, but you can guess
But
it's
if
not
the
going to
Rockdale
bring you the
County do
good
what they're
people.
supposed to do, those bad people would not. They'll know it Rockdale, it can't be bad. But Larry wanted to
I want to address what she talked about, people not being aware and how they can be aware. You know, that's something that we at the Rockdale voters, we've been attempting to do. She mentioned their number, 500 and some. The Rockdale voter has 1,200 and some people, and we're growing those lists. But then also, the Rockdale voters spent significant money this past year fighting the squats. We had billboards, spot signs, advertising. I mean, we spent several thousands of dollars. And Kim and I spent a lot of our own personal money doing this, right? So, and then what major problem we had in Rockdale County getting anything else? You don't have a local newspaper. You do have a local newspaper, but they don't support it. They do the cookie cutter things where they just go get news articles everywhere else and they just put them in. So, and when they do report something, like they reported about the tax increases, right? They just reported there are going to be tax increases. They didn't do any investigative reporting. I've talked to county officials from Rockdale County who had served in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. They told me that if they would have tried this stuff when they were in office, the Rockdale citizen would have been on them, and it would have been Katie bar the door. The citizens would have known. We do not have a local paper. We do not have a local radio station. We do not have local television. So it's up to citizens to get this message out, and it's up to us to grow these networks. And we're attempting to do that. So wait, Kim, get that.
Listen. Good evening, everyone. I really appreciate you, Ms. Williams. I'm a city girl, I'm straight from New York, and I am just so damn confused here. Because this is like, this county I've moved here, I've been here 6 years. I've been blessed to pay off my house. Ever since I've been here, my taxes are increasing, and that is not the only thing we need to address here. But we need to come out here in numbers, because like this lady said, this room should be full. There's a lot of information that's being held from us. I don't know why, and this is why I came out, and thank God for you for introducing yourself from next door. That's a way to connect with each other. We have to connect with each other. We have to band together. We are the government. The commissioner board, they don't dictate to us. We are allowing these people to dictate to us. We're sitting back with our whole hands folded, and we're not doing anything. We are absolutely not doing one damn thing. Okay, now it sounds good, but we're gonna have to, it's like faith. Faith without works is dead. We're gonna have to, somebody is taking this damn money, everybody damn body need to be investigated. Oz, Washington, she's already, and I'm not trying to put no platform nobody, but your credibility is shot. You should not be sitting your behind on no post for it. Post 1, 2, 3, or 4, okay? So we need change here. I didn't come here from New York to be trampled on. My voice will be heard. I can add 1 and 1 and 2. I may not have a degree or be defined or refined, but you know, we're a melting pot. We gotta work this together. This is not about white, black, purple, or blue. We are the residents of Rockdale. We got to pick up this damn torch and we got to run with this. Because these people are just having their way. I'm sorry, sweetheart. As far as the voting booth is concerned, there's half the information that none of us in this damn room ever even heard of. I don't know about a splash, a splish, a splash. Any damn thing you're talking about, I am lost. So I am in agreement to say, when I stand up and say, I don't know, I don't know. I'm not afraid to say that I don't know. For the voting poll, my neighbor told me that the voting location was changed.
No, you're 100% correct. I mean, and that's what we say.
But how do we allow this? How do we allow a lawyer? The lawyer getting paid too.
Okay, let me ask
We gotta follow the money.
Let me ask this question. Like Larry said, we're working together. How many would be willing to come out maybe once a quarter or once a month to learn, like how to read when they send a meeting out, how to read the agenda, know what a call meeting is, know what what's the other name, second reading and voting sessions. Would you all be willing to have?
Yes.
Yes. Right. Yeah, but see, that's one area. Like I started working like the.
So you're talking about like a real citizens academy? Not indoctrination academy,
Not that one. If we're gonna talk about it, put your name down. If you're not in voices for Rockdale, I'll send you a link. I always put Larry's show on Voices for Rockdale, and that way you can stay informed.
This week from Rockdale, we air on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble. So I figured out how to do that. So we air on that on Wednesdays and Sundays at 8 p.m. So and we talk about these issues, and we talk about everything that's impacting Rockdale County. So,
But you all said that you're willing to learn the ins and outs of the county.
Do you have
Somebody spoke about mismatching money. Voices did request on the CARES and also on the American Rescue Plan. Many of those guidelines have been validated.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Garcia. I live in Conyers Gardens of Fieldstone. Many of you see my name on Nextdoor and everywhere. I absolutely agree with what this young lady said about how few of us know what's going on. And we have to take a responsibility. I actually wrote a letter to the editor of the Rockdale Citizen. She called me today. We've been working back and forth on my narrative, and it will be published in this weekend's newspaper. It's about these very issues. Many people don't get the newspaper, but if you do, you need to start reading every single part of that newspaper, because there are people like me who will raise all kind of New York sayings, but that's where I'm from, and let people know that this we're not going to tolerate this, and state facts. I stated in that editorial about the millage rate in the neighboring counties and how high ours is compared to theirs, the population of those counties. When you have to come with facts, not just Mary told me, Harry said. When you go with facts, they listen to you. At least they have to listen to you. They may say one thing and do another, which many of us are used to. We all have a personal responsibility. I'm very busy, but I'm going to speak at the BOC meeting August 2nd at the 6 p.m. Meeting. If you cannot attend, at the very least, write an email. You email everybody else. You need to email the BOC. There's a lady here who has been working, she's a headquarters, started a whole movement about a development that they plan to rezone for. They want to squeeze, we started out over 100 homes in a little bit of space on a one lane, each direction street. And, you know, they had t-shirts, they had signs, much like what you were saying. We got out there and they listened.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Corliss goes to almost every meeting, to the point that I hear her say, I'm sorry I couldn't come. I'm like, oh my God. She's apologizing to the BOC for not being able to attend the meeting. But if nobody else attends, Corliss does. But more of us need to attend and get in their face and spend your 3 minutes with knowledgeable facts. And if you don't have facts, just tell them how pissed off you are and you're not going to tolerate this.
Yeah, you don't have to have.
You don't have to have all the numbers. You just say, I understand you want to raise my taxes by 45%. And I'm going to be homeless. It's simple as that. But if you don't do it, I promise you, numbers matter. Yes. So, and when you inundate them with emails, they will never respond to you. I promise you that. We've been here 14 years, I've never gotten a response. However, if you email them, and to get the word out, my husband's treasurer of our homeowners association. If you belong to an HOA, put it in your newsletter. Send an email to every person that you know who lives in Rockdale County, whether they live in your neighborhood or not. There's no reason why more people shouldn't know about what's going on.
Okay, we got that earlier.
I just have a quick question. I know George said he had all those pictures and stuff from Watershed, and you said you were going to present it at the Board of Education and the Commissioners meeting. Now, you know we get 3 minutes, right, to speak?
That's right.
Okay, so now, I'm sorry? So can I yield my time to you? Can I? You might, no.
No, doesn't work.
Is that actually addressed in that policy?
They will not let you do it.
Robert rules of order.
That's it.
Let me tell you what happened at a meeting. I questioned their rules. I questioned the rules, and you know what they told me?
Sit down, peasant.
They said it is the chairman's prerogative, because the chairman runs the meeting, to amend the rules to their meeting. So I asked them, are we going to abide by the rules today? And they said, well, the chairman's prerogative is he can change the rules. So that's what I was saying.
Alright, so how do you get all that information out?
Here's the strategy.
Okay, gotta be something.
Tom Harrison, which you may have seen him on Facebook or in the community, we call him Santa Claus. And each one of us is going to take 3 minutes
Okay.
and explain one
Okay,
picture
so you're gonna
each.
piggyback.
So we're going to have 12 minutes total.
Okay, piggyback, okay, fine, that works.
We'll
That's a good
hire
strategy.
the folks that are knowledgeable within this area, and we'll provide a narrative and then they can speak.
Okay, that works. Let me just say one other thing. If you haven't signed up for Voices of Rockdale and you would like to, I got this, so raise your hand and I'll bring it to you so you can shout out. If you haven't signed up for Voices of Rockdale, you're not on the email.
All these tax, 45% tax increases, are the commissions justified, we're gonna do roads, we're gonna do this, what area, are they justified where the money's being spent at?
No, they said that the pandemic has affected them the way it has affected us, but the only thing, they're gonna pass off their increase to us, and we have nobody to pass it on.
If you watched in the last couple of weeks, where they raised the average salary of the employees in the county by 17.4%, that's where the money's going.
We have to pay.
Everybody in the county got 17.4% increase. Average. Some got more, some got a little less.
And what are they doing for this? I mean, I'm putting you on the spot, but that's, no company gives you that kind of.
I don't know.
You know, and if you got at the Board of Commission meeting, when they passed those pay raises,
Right.
they spend money that they don't have.
Right.
So they may back off and not do a 45% increase, but they're going, I'm just telling you, this is just economics and it's just math. They are going to have a significant increase
Right.
because they've already spent this money. And they spent it, they initially funded those pay raises with ARPA funds. Now, and they told you, you've got these raises, and this is what they're making. And if they don't increase the taxes a certain amount, they will not be able to make that payroll. So they will be raising those taxes.
So, you know, you're running a government, managing a budget, and, you know,
Right.
things get tight, this and that, or you give raises, whatever. Raising taxes ain't the only tool you got. When was the last time they cut a damn thing out of the budget?
They've never,
That's right, they've never done that, they've never done a zero-based budgeting process.
never done
of
zero-based
anything like that.
budgeting. But that's what we've got to look at, folks. You've got to look at the reality. Do I think we can go to that meeting and we can make them not raise it 45%? 100% believe we can. But
About their board meetings.
yes, but there is going to be a tax increase because they have forced it. They will have to be able to pay those tax increases. That is just fact. But what we can do is we can make them raise it to the minimum amount. So I mean, if they are going to raise it somewhere.
What will be the minimum amount?
You know what, I've not run the numbers to see what that payroll is, but there are some expenditures that they took ARPA. And we all gotta remember this, the federal government, when they passed the CARES Act and ARPA funding, they advised these governments, the cities, the counties, and the states, they said, don't use this funding to create additional debt. Only spend it on things that you do now, because you're not going to get this funding in the future. And if you do that, you're going to have to raise taxes. And when our county gave those pay increases, they said at that meeting, at that vote, by doing this, we will have to raise taxes. Sherri said, did they say that?
Absolutely.
That's what not only the chairman, but the Post 1 commissioner and the Post 2 commissioner. I will never refer to the Post 1 commissioner by its name, because in my opinion, that thing is not my business.
That's right. If he said we will have to raise taxes, he lied. Because that's only one tool. They could have cut the budget and taken care of
But that is the scenario that this DOC has done. Under this chairman's leadership, they always raise taxes and they always increase the budget.
This gentleman have an opportunity, I think you wanted to say something to it.
I'm back to the young lady cat, her comment before. We need some structure. We got all these different communities out here. Can we make a list of the communities that we can target, get a community capital that we can disseminate information to, that they can get the information out to their specific communities? But we need some type of structure in which we can disseminate and get these people enrolled and on board.
I agree with you 100%. You know what we need to do? Everybody in this room needs to sign up, and because we take what, and I have meetings a lot, because I actually run a couple of organizations. And people will always point at me and say, what are you doing? I don't have a problem pointing back and say, what are you doing? Because I'm gonna tell you what, in Rockdale County, I have spent my money. I have held signs, I have had my tires slashed, because I will fight for this damn county, and I'll fight for you. That's all I gotta say. I'm gonna sit down.
Okay, I'm sorry, you all, we have the room from 7 to 8:30, it is 8:32. I'm glad that you all are lined up and are ready to work and ready to get busy. Like I said, the last one, was for Rockdale, next door, put your name down, my next door at the fire, you're not,
Next time we need absolutely my conversation. You should have put in there about the VOC.
Hey, before everybody walks out, the video of this meeting will be,
one more. Quiet, please.
this recording of this meeting will be available on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. It'll be distributed from the Brushfire Mine. The TPS report will get it. This Week in Rockdale will get it. The Rockdale Voices and everything George touches will have it to be disseminated. Everybody had that question earlier. We've only got 50 people in this room, and that's atrocious. And the reason for that is Rockdale citizens do not know what's going on. They are not aware of the consistent systemic failures, abuses, and corruption. And it is because they're not paying attention. So apart from just standing out on the street with a sign, a huge thing you can do is share these videos from meetings like this. For this demographic, I assume it's going to be largely Facebook, but Twitter, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, Truth Social, wherever you're sharing anything, you get the link that you see on Facebook with a video like this and anything else that these guys are disseminating, especially this week from Rockdale. He covers these local political issues very closely. So keep an eye out for that.